DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Welcome. We are back with another NBA playoffs season coming up, and let's just get through this. I mean, I don't think there's anything else we need to say. We already gave y'all a couple weeks ago the pre-playoff preview video, so now we're just going to talk about these playoff matchups, at least the ones we know about, then these play-in games. So first, let's talk about the matchups that we know are definitely happening. Then we'll talk about the play-in games, and we'll talk about the 1 and 2 seeds of each conference and who they might end up playing and what I'm interested in seeing. And of course, y'all in the comments section do what you do. So let's start in the Western Conference. Number 4 or 5 seed series is the Clippers against Dallas. So this is a repeat of last year's series. I don't think Dallas has gotten any better. I mean, they're pretty much the same team. The Clippers got a little bit better. They added Nick Batum, who I guess he's good again, allegedly. Serge Ibaka, who's a good role player. Rajon Rondo, who's proven to be a solid role player. So the Clippers got marginally better. I mean, none of those guys is like a game changer exactly, but they're good role players who've been on teams that won. Serge's been on championship teams and winning teams, Rondo as well. So they are marginally better. Is Dallas better in any way? Not really. I mean, Luka got better. Tim Hardaway had a great season. Is Porzingis any better? I remember when Porzingis was supposed to be the savior of New York, playing for the Knicks. Does it feel like that anymore with him? I think he's kind of like damaged goods now. And I think Porzingis, he need to show up in this series, because we're looking at the Clippers like they got Kawhi and Paul George. We're looking at Dallas like they got Luka. Who else Dallas got? Porzingis was supposed to be that dude. So Porzingis, he needs to show up. If he's worth anything, he needs to show up and deliver. His value has gone down considerably ever since he got injured in New York and then got traded. So he needs to step his game up, and I would love to see Dallas really put up a fight in this series. Like last year, they put up somewhat of a fight, but I never felt like they could actually win. This year, I don't really feel any different. But if you feel different, you let me know. If you have any reason why Dallas can win this series, barring injury, I don't really see it. So Dallas, please make this series interesting. And the Clippers, by the way, it looks like the Clippers tanked and lost their last game because they wanted to avoid the 3 seed, which may have ended up playing the Lakers had Portland lost, and the Clippers was trying to avoid the Lakers. I hope that was not the case, but did y'all see that they avoided? They lost that game against, who were they playing the last game of the year? Oklahoma City. Lost that game so that they could get into this 4 seed and not have a chance at the 3 seed, because Denver would have had to lose for them to get that 3 seed, but Denver won anyway, so they didn't completely control their destiny, but they didn't even do their part and win that game. I wanted to see 3-6 Clippers against the Lakers in the first round. I wanted to see that. I want to see those 2 teams in the playoffs. It would be great to see it in the first round, but they look like they kind of tanked a little bit. That's what it looked like to me. But anyway, as far as the Clippers go, playoff P, Paul George. I mean, you gave yourself this nickname several years ago. You have not done well in the playoffs in any year since you gave yourself that nickname. So the last time Paul George was good in the playoffs was when he was playing for the Pacers, when they had Danny Granger and Lance Stevenson in them, and they were playing against the Heat with LeBron in them. It's been many years since Paul George has really been really good in the playoffs. And even then, he was kind of like a complimentary player. He was the most talented, but he wasn't even really their main guy. Danny Granger was the main guy. So Paul George, you ain't really dominated in the playoffs ever, but you gave yourself this nickname. Why'd you give yourself that nickname? I don't know. But you did it, so it's about time you actually deliver on that nickname. So yeah, they need to win. They need to win. All right, so let's move on. 3-6 series is Denver against Portland. Denver is a 3, Portland is a 6. Now, a few years ago, this is a very entertaining series that went to, was that last year or was it the year before? No, 2 years ago. It was before the bubble. Might have been 3 years. I don't even remember. But Denver against Portland went to a Game 7. It was in Denver, and that's when C.J. McCollum had like 35, 40 points, something like that in Game 7. And it was a really entertaining game, and C.J. really helped them pull that out for Portland to get the win in that series. So this will be an interesting series, because I am 100% sure that Portland really thinks they could beat Denver. And Denver, without Jamal Murray, now everybody's looking at them like, all right, they're not really the same team, not counting them as a serious contender because they don't have Jamal Murray. But they actually played very well without Jamal Murray since he's been injured. And Jokic, who is pretty much the MVP. I mean, anybody got any argument for anyone else winning MVP this year? I know some people are going to try to throw some Steph Curry votes in there, but Steph Curry is not winning MVP. Jokic is the MVP. He played the whole season. He played all the games. He was the most dominant from start to finish. He played the most minutes of anyone who was a contender. Didn't miss, didn't have injuries or anything like that. I wanted to see Joel win it from my hometown, Philadelphia Sixers, and Steph Curry put up a fight, and he's going to get votes. He'll be in the top 5, but he's not winning. Jokic is the MVP. So Jokic being the MVP, I also believe that he's looking at this like, all right, they beat us a couple years ago. I know he knows that. And he's the MVP. So you don't want to be the MVP and lose in the first round. So they got to win that series. So that'll be an interesting one, Portland, Denver, because I think both teams think they got plenty of reasons to believe that they can beat the other team. The Dallas, I'm not sure how much Dallas thinks they can win, aside from the fact they have Luka, who I think, now he ain't better than Kawhi Leonard. I think he's better than Paul George. I don't think he's better than Kawhi. Not quite. At least not in the playoffs, at least. But anyway, let's move on to the Eastern Conference. And we'll come back to the playing games in both conferences later. In the East, we got the 4-5 Knicks against the Atlanta Hawks. Now, both of these teams had similar records. It's exciting to see both of these teams in the playoffs, because neither one of them has been quite so good since they've come into this current regime. The Knicks got Tibbs. They got Derrick Rose, Julius Randle having a career year. Knicks are actually solid. Now, I don't think the Knicks are a very exciting team, but it's exciting to have New York with a good basketball team. I think nobody can be mad at New York. I'm talking about the Knicks, not Brooklyn. I'm talking about New York having a good basketball team. Nobody could be mad at that. And playing against the Hawks, Trae Young and those guys, very offensively, they've been great, especially ever since Lloyd Pearson brought Nate McMillan in. The Hawks have been great. They got a lot of firepower offensively. And I've heard people saying that they think the Hawks can beat the Knicks. I mean, these teams are very even. So I don't think either team is solidly better than the other team. I think this is looking like a 7-game series that both these teams is going to be going back and forth. Neither one of them has gone anywhere yet. So I think neither one of them knows how to finish off another team. That's why I see this going to a 7-game series. I don't really care who wins this series, because whoever wins is going to go into round 2, and they're going to be playing against the winner of the 1-8 series. And my hometown Sixers is the #1 seed. We'll get to them in a minute. So it doesn't really matter who wins this series, because whoever wins is getting stomped out in the second round. But again, we'll get to that in a minute. Now, the most interesting, actually no, there's another interesting first-round series, Milwaukee against Atlanta. Now, Portland, Denver is going to be great, because I think that was looking like a 7-gamer to me. Milwaukee, Miami. I don't know what exactly is going to happen in this series, but I know what needs to happen in this series. First of all, I live here in Miami, but I like Giannis better than I like anybody on the Heat. And Giannis won MVP 2 years in a row, and people have been kind of trashing him after he won those 2, and then his team didn't even make it to they made it to was that the year he won MVP? They lost to Toronto? I can't remember. These years just keep getting mixed up to me. But anyway, they haven't even been to the finals, but he won back-to-back MVPs. This year he was still pretty close to what he did the previous 2 years, but nobody's even mentioning him in the MVP conversation, which I understand it's just human perception. But Milwaukee has to win this series. They have to beat Miami. You can't lose to the Miami Heat in the second round last year when y'all was supposed to be the favorite, and then lose them in the first round this year with home court advantage. And the Bucks are better this year. They got Drew Holiday, who is one of the best defensive guards in the league. He can erase somebody out of a series, and he's done it before in the past. So I definitely want to see Milwaukee win this series. And I want to see Giannis redeem himself. After what happened last year, the Heat put together a game plan and a scheme to stop him, and it worked. They kind of slowed him down a lot. And Chris Middleton, who doesn't really get a lot of credit for being as good as he is, he's a very solid player and has been solid for several years. Milwaukee needs to win this series. They need to win it handily. This shouldn't be more than a 6-game series. The challenge with Miami is they've been kind of rickety all year. They never had a solid run of really being solid until they got to the end of the season. And the thing is, Jimmy Butler missed some games. He's their best player, clearly their best player. And the other thing with Miami is that their wings, they playing some wings who are kind of way past their primes, and I'm not sure they can go too far with those guys on the wings. Like Trevor Ariza and Andre Iguodala, those guys are guys that was like your 9th and 10th guys, but they're right now like they're in that top 8 rotation for the Miami Heat. I'm not sure that's going to work for them. And now Milwaukee replaced Eric Bledsoe with Drew Holiday, which is a huge upgrade. And so Milwaukee should win this series, but I really want to see how that plays out. I'll be paying attention to that one closer. Now let's look at the playing games. In the West, you got Memphis against San Antonio. So San Antonio's been on a tailspin. They've been losing a lot this last couple weeks of the season. It's almost as if they quit before the season is even over. But they got Greg Popovich still. They always are in close games. It's not like they're getting blown out. They're just losing these games. But they got blown out a couple times. But they've been losing these games. They're playing against Memphis. I think Memphis is going to win this game. And we ain't going to spend too much time on these 9th and 10th seeds. In a normal situation, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. So I'm going to pick Memphis to win that game. If San Antonio wins, it's not the end of the world. I wouldn't bet on that game, but I'm going to pick Memphis. Lakers are playing against Golden State in the other playing game. This would be a very interesting playing game because you got LeBron against Steph Curry. LeBron talking about he was putting up talking about something about Steph Curry should be MVP, and LeBron also said whoever made the idea for the play-in tournament should be fired. That was really hilarious because now that his team is in the play-in game, now he doesn't like the play-in game. Well, anyway, who don't like in this game? Either team could win because when you got Steph Curry, you got a puncher's chance. Steph Curry might go off and hit 10 threes in a game and beat you. And the Lakers have been so up and down this year with the injuries and not having the continuity. They could get beat easily. But whoever loses this game gets to play against either Memphis or San Antonio for the final playoff spot. I think the Lakers and the Warriors will be the two playoff teams from the Western play-in games. These two teams will be the two teams that make it. I don't see the Warriors or the Lakers losing 2 games in the play-in series. So whoever gets it, gets it. Now let's look at these 1 and 2 seeds. Utah got the number 1 seed. I don't know what Donovan Mitchell's status is. Is he healthy? They're going to need him because if they're going to win some, especially in the first round, if they play the Warriors or the Lakers, they're going to need Donovan Mitchell in order to win that series. Now Utah has a great team. They got the best record, 52 wins, best record in the NBA this season. So they should be expected to at least win the first round. To do so, they got to kill some giants. The Lakers are a giant and the Warriors are a giant. So to get out of the first round, they're going to have to kill one of these teams. The reason I call the Lakers and Warriors giants, to be clear, is because they won championships. You got championship pedigree on both of these teams, and their stars are guys who have won multiple titles. And Utah, nobody on that team has won a title. So they got to kill these guys. You got to kill a giant. You can't just beat them. You got to kill them. And I want to see Utah do it. They got to prove it by killing one of these giants, whoever they end up playing, who gets that 8 seed. Or it could be Memphis or the Spurs. I don't predict that, but they got to win and get out that first round. And then they'll be looking at either Clippers or Dallas, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Number 2 seed is the Phoenix Suns. Now, Phoenix, I haven't watched a ton of NBA games this year, but I follow the box scores to see what's going on. Phoenix doesn't have a ton of size. They got DeAndre Ayton down inside, but he's not like no defensive stopper. And the Lakers have Anthony Davis, who's a hell of a scorer down low. They also got Drummond, and LeBron could be like a power forward. I don't know what Phoenix could do playing against the Lakers because the Lakers have such a big front line, and Phoenix does not have a great defensive front line. So that might not be the best matchup for the Phoenix Suns in the first round, but it'd be interesting to watch since they got the number 2 seed and they have Chris Paul, who has proven to be a winner over and over. Whatever team he goes to, those teams get better and they become successful. So that'll be a fun playoff series to watch, even though I will probably pick, if the Lakers get the 7 seed, if I had to bet money, I wouldn't bet money, but I would probably bet money on the Lakers beating the Suns in the first round, the number 7 seed beating the number 2 seed, if it comes to that, but we'll see. Looking on the Eastern Conference side of things, play-in tournament, you got the Pacers against Charlotte. Charlotte, without Gordon Hayward, is not actually very good. They haven't been winning as much without Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward's the best player on that team by far. I know y'all like LaMelo Ball and all that, but LaMelo is not the best player on that team. Gordon Hayward's the best. He's injured, and without him, I don't like them. I think they're going to lose to the Pacers in this first play-in game. Pacers have a fuller complement of players. I'm not sure Brogdon is there. I know T.J. Warren's injured, but even with the players they got, with Sabonis and LeVert as their 2 best players, I think they could beat Charlotte in 1 game. And I think it's in Indiana. They're the 9 seed, so I see the Pacers winning this game, and they move on to the second game of the play-in tournament. And the other game is Washington against Boston. I'm definitely going to watch them with that. Now that's one I would bet on. I would bet on the Washington Wizards beating Boston in this play-in game. Boston just lost Jaylen Brown, who we know is a major player on the team. Washington, it ain't like they're the best team in the league. I mean, they're 34 and 38, but they've been very good at the end of the season. We know Russell Westbrook's going to get a triple-double. We know Bradley Beal's going to have like 30. Now, who else on that team you can count on? They got a few other role guys. They're not stars, but they got other role guys. But I am pretty sure that Washington, Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook is like 2 in the morning on the phone telling each other like, yo, can't nobody in this league stop us. We're going to go out and do our things. I want to see Washington make the playoffs. I would love for them to win this game, beat Boston, so then they would go to the number 7 seed and they would play Brooklyn in the first round. That would be a hell of a series to watch. I will watch every game of that series to see Russell Westbrook and Brad Beal playing against James Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant. That would be a fun series just because of those names, just to see what happens. Brooklyn's going to destroy them, but it would still be fun to watch because Russ and Brad Beal are not going to quit in that series. So I hope that they win this game so that they can play Brooklyn in the first round. And then the Sixers are going to play. That would leave either Boston, the Pacers, or Charlotte to play the Sixers in the first round. And Joel Embiid, as long as he's healthy. Ben Simmons, the best defensive wing in the league. Matisse Thybulle, probably the second best defensive wing in the league. We got a solid coach in Doc Rivers. The Sixers are my pick to come out of the East, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'll probably make a video for the conference finals. I'm not gonna make a video for the second round, but I'll probably do one for the conference finals when it comes. I'm predicting. I can't count Milwaukee out. 2 of the 3 between the Sixers, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn is going to be in the conference finals. But Brooklyn and Milwaukee, if they both win the first round, they would play each other in the second round. That will be a hell of a series because I want to see Giannis against KD, Drew Holiday against either Harden, Kyrie, and the Bucks. These years that they supposed to be so good, and Giannis the MVP 2 years in a row, y'all got to do something. Y'all can't lose in the first round. They really can't lose in the second round either. They need to get to the conference finals and maybe even get all the way to the finals to save probably Coach Bud's job. And so I would love to see Brooklyn, Milwaukee in the second round. Milwaukee got to get through those Heat, though. And the Sixers, I think they're going to stomp out whoever makes it to the 8 seed in the East, and that's my hometown team, the Sixers. I'm picking the Sixers to go to the finals. Why? Because it's my hometown team. Now, I'm not betting money on them, but they're my hometown team, so I'm picking the Sixers. In the West, again, I already told you we got Utah against whoever gets that 8 seed, which could either be the Warriors or the Lakers. That'll be interesting. And all 4 first-round series should be good in the West. I'm not sure about the Dallas Clippers one. That's probably the most boring one because they did it last year, and I don't think Dallas got any better. In the East, it'll be fun seeing New York and Atlanta, but neither one of them is a threat. Neither one of them's winning in the second round, I don't think, barring injuries. That bottom half, though, Milwaukee, Miami, Brooklyn, and whoever gets that 7 seed, that'll be those will be some fun series to watch. The first round and the second round, whoever comes out of that. So those are my picks for just the first round of the 2021 NBA playoffs. Good thing this year, those of y'all who don't know, I'm an early riser, so I usually go to bed early and I wake up early, so I'm not always up to watch these NBA games, but I'm going to be traveling. I'm still in Miami right now, but when the playoffs start on Wednesday, I'm going to be in Philly, then I'm traveling overseas. So overseas, I'm going to have to wake up like early in the morning just to watch the game, because when the game comes on in the USA and it's nighttime, it's already morning time over there. So I'll be able to watch these games in full this year in the NBA playoffs and see what's going on and leave my comments and all that. So I don't know. I might be excited enough to make some videos for the second round. We'll see. So those are my picks for the first round of the playoffs and the play-in games, and my light predictions on what's going to happen in the future. But let's let the first round play out first before I make any hard predictions for anything beyond that. You tell me what you think of my picks, what you think of your picks, what do you think is going to happen, why. Leave it down in the comments. Make sure you put all your predictions in the comments before the game starts. Don't wait till after the game starts and then come in and say something. I know how some people try to do. So make sure your comments are on time. All right, everybody, that's it. Work on your game. Let's enjoy the playoffs. Dre all day.